Motivation is overrated. It's a fake friend that shows up when things are exciting and then disappears the minute work gets tough. We've been taught to chase that fired up feeling, but those who win aren't motivated all the time. They're consistent. So if you keep waiting until you feel inspired, you will watch opportunities pass you by while someone else with half your talent, but twice your consistency blows past you. Think I'm wrong? Look at one of the most successful comedians ever, Jerry Seinfeld. When a young comic asked Seinfeld for his secret, Jerry didn't say get motivated. He said write every day. Don't break the chain. He hung a huge calendar on his wall and put a red X on it for every day that he wrote jokes. After a few days, he had a chain, and his only job was to never break it. It didn't matter if the jokes were great or if he felt funny that day. It didn't matter if he was motivated or not. All that mattered was showing up and writing. That unsexy daily habit helped fuel years of consistent, high-level performance. Seinfeld's consistency beat motivation, and that's a big reason he became one of the greats. Now, you might say, sure, Evan, but I'm no Jerry Seinfeld. Fair. So let me share something personal from myself. I don't wake up motivated either. Not even close. People think I leap out of bed on fire. I don't. And that surprised me too at first. I mean, I love what I do. Why aren't I pumped every single morning? And eventually I realized that what matters is that I do something about it. So I engineered a morning habit to kick my butt into gear. So before I check email or Instagram or even think about the day, I feed my mind something inspiring. It might be a clip of Steve Jobs or Howard Schultz or Elon Musk as I go outside on what I call my believe walk. But every single day, I watch something that makes me believe. I've also unfollowed any accounts that make me feel negative. Why? Because I know motivation won't magically be there when I need it. I have to cultivate it with habits, with boring routines that guarantee I start my day feeling bold and confident. And you know what? It works. Even on the days when I wake up in a funk, those habits snap me out of it and get me moving. So maybe you're thinking, okay, but aren't entrepreneurs supposed to be free spirits? I became my own boss to avoid boring routines. I hear you. A lot of entrepreneurs, they like to rebel against structure. And the idea of doing the same thing every day sounds suffocating when you love and crave creativity and freedom. But discipline equals freedom. Having a few steady habits doesn't make you a robot. It frees up your brain power so you can actually be creative where it counts. Without basic routines, you waste energy deciding when or whether to work, fighting distractions, riding emotional highs and lows. It becomes exhausting. Meanwhile, your competitor has already banged out their boring morning tasks and moved on to innovating, right? Consistency becomes your equalizer. Just remember, the genius who works only when they're inspired will always lose to the persistent entrepreneur who grinds out the basics daily. The boring stuff is the foundation on which exciting success is built. So let's dive in, let's get practical and look at the 11 boring habits that will skyrocket your entrepreneurial progress. These are the habits that make motivation almost irrelevant because you'll be making progress regardless of how you feel on any given day. You ready? Let's dive in. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe. Number 1, show up every day. Consistency beats inspiration. Successful entrepreneurs have one thing in common. They show up, especially on days they don't want to. It sounds simple, but it's everything. Top performers in every field, athletics, CEOs, artists, are more consistent than their peers. They deliver day after day while everyone else battles procrastination and waits to feel ready. If you want results, make showing up a non-negotiable. Rain or shine, in the mood or not, you do something that moves your business forward daily. It could be as small as one sales call or one page of writing, but do it without fail. Consistency creates your momentum, and momentum beats motivation. Remember the Seinfeld story. He didn't wait on inspiration to strike. He built a habit so he couldn't flake out. And then with my own story, when I started on YouTube, I was nobody. Year 1, I had 25 subscribers. Year 5, 2,000 subscribers. 5 years on YouTube, and practically no one cared. I was putting up videos every week and still hearing crickets. Any motivated person would have quit. I definitely felt like quitting. I was embarrassed. And fun fact, I couldn't even watch my first 350 videos back because I cringed at how bad I thought they were. But I kept showing up. And honestly, the only thing I had going for me was that I just didn't stop. I just kept going. And slowly, those small numbers grew. After 5 years, I hit 2,000 subscribers. Then things finally started to pop, and now it's over 4 million. That didn't come from a lightning bolt of inspiration. It came from consistent action long after that initial excitement of making videos wore off. So build the habit of showing up. Make your calls, create your content, improve your product daily. Even if progress is slow, you're laying bricks. And brick by brick, if you don't quit, you can build your cathedral. Number 2, plan your day. Don't wing it. Never start your day without a plan. This is a boring habit that prevents a ton of stress and wasted time. If you wake up and dive into work with no clear priorities, you'll gravitate to whatever is easiest, your emails, social media, and convince yourself that you are busy while the real important tasks sit untouched. Sound familiar? Instead, plan your day in advance, either the night before or first thing in the morning. List out the key tasks that will make the day a win. Pick your top 1 to 3 priorities, the things that drive your business forward, and block time for them on your schedule. This simple habit ensures that you work intentionally rather than reacting to whatever pops up. And here's some science. Research shows that you are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through on a new habit or goal if you plan out when and where you'll do it. Psychologists call it an implementation intention, basically a fancy term for decide exactly what you'll do, when and where. So for example, don't just say, I'll make some sales calls tomorrow. Say tomorrow at 10 a.m., I will make 5 sales calls from my desk. Lock it in your calendar. One study had people fill in the sentence, during the next week, I will exercise on day, at time, in place. Those who did this were up to 3 times more likely to actually exercise. Planning works. I do this myself every day. I know exactly when I'm filming videos or when I'm mentoring my team because it's on my calendar. If it's scheduled, it happens. If you leave it to when I feel like it, it won't. So make planning a habit every day. Know your priorities and your time slots in advance. The ROI on this 10-minute habit is huge. You'll get the important stuff done whether or not you're in the mood because you've made a commitment to yourself on paper. Number 3, win your morning. No snooze button. How you start your morning sets the tone for the entire day. Hit the snooze 5 times and scroll aimlessly. You're telling yourself it's okay to procrastinate and coast. I like to say the first thing you do each day is tell yourself it's okay not to hit your goals. If you smack that snooze button, think about it. You set a goal, your alarm. And the very first action of the day is breaking that promise. That chips away at your confidence. So here's the habit. No more snooze. When the alarm goes off, get up. Even if it sucks, especially if it sucks, because starting with a small win, getting up on time, creates a domino effect of wins. Now, once you're up, do something positive and proactive with the first 15 to 30 minutes of your day. This is your win the morning routine. It doesn't need to be a 2-hour elaborate ritual with green smoothies and sunrise, unless you want that. It could be as simple as making your bed or doing 10 push-ups or going on a believe walk like I do. Something to build a quick sense of accomplishment. Admiral McRaven famously said, if you make your bed, you've accomplished the first task of the day and the rest comes easier. In my case, I watch an inspiring video and then I try to create something. Often I'll post a quick message on Instagram or share some positivity because I want to create before I consume the world's noise. And that routine sets me up for the day, as I've shared already before. But maybe for you, it's a short meditation, a quick walk, writing in your journal. The key is that you control the start of your day. You feed your mind and body something good instead of reacting to emails or news and other people's agenda. By doing so, you leave the house or you start work feeling energized and in charge, not constantly behind the curve. Consistently winning your morning makes you far less dependent on feeling motivated later because you've already built momentum from the start. Number 4, eat the frog first. Tackle the hardest task. Every day, do the hardest, most important thing first. Right after your morning routine, dive into the task you're most likely to procrastinate on. Maybe it's making that sales call to a client who might say no. Maybe it's working on your business plan or coding a complex feature or writing a chapter of your book, making your next video. This is known as eating the frog, a term from Mark Twain that was popularized in business by Brian Tracy, friend of the channel. The idea is simple. If you have to eat a live frog every day, wouldn't you rather just get it over with? If you eat that frog first thing in the morning, you can go through the rest of your day knowing the worst is behind you. Why is this habit so powerful? Well, for one, your willpower and decision-making energy are highest in the morning. So as the day goes on, your mental resources drain and tasks feel harder. We've all felt that 4 p.m. brain fog, right? So by tackling the tough stuff first, you leverage your freshest energy on what matters most. Also, when you finish a tough task, you get a rush of accomplishment that makes you feel like a winner. It boosts your mood and confidence for everything else. On the other hand, if you avoid the hard thing and you middle around on the easy, trivial tasks, you'll carry this weight of, I still haven't done X, all day long. And that creates stress and guilt, which kills your motivation. I'm not gonna lie, eating the frog is never fun in a moment. Picking up the phone to call that angry customer or sitting down to crunch last quarter's financials is not thrilling for most people. But this habit builds your discipline muscle like crazy. And once the frog is done, you feel lighter and free. The rest of the day is gravy by comparison. So personally, I try to film my hardest videos or handle my most critical messages early when I'm fresh. If there's a tough conversation I need to have with a team member, I schedule it first thing. By doing the hardest thing first, you prove to yourself that you run the day doesn't run you. So do this consistently and you'll notice something. You'll stop dreading difficult tasks so much because you've conditioned yourself to attack them. And that's progress you simply can't achieve if you only work when a surge of motivation conveniently makes it feel easy for you. So tomorrow morning, identify your frog and eat it for breakfast. Number 5, move your body daily. Exercise for energy. This one might sound unrelated to business, but trust me, daily exercise is the entrepreneur's secret weapon. Building a company is not just a mental game, it's a physical endurance game too. You need energy and stamina and stress resilience, and nothing gives you that like moving your body. I don't care if it's a 20-minute walk, a gym workout, yoga, jumping on a mini trampoline in your office. Yes, I do this. I try not to jump too much while I'm making videos. The habit of getting your body active each day will boost your productivity and mood more than a cup of coffee. And you don't have to take my word for it. Take billionaire entrepreneur Richard Branson. When asked how to be more productive, Branson's answer was this: work out. He swears that exercising daily gives him 4 extra hours of productivity every day. 4 hours. Think about how huge that is over time. And Branson's not alone here. CEOs like Tim Cook, Mark Cuban, Oprah, many of the busiest, most successful people in the world make time to exercise every single day. It's not because they're fitness buffs by nature. It's because they know it sharpens their performance. And science backs this up too. Exercise improves focus for 2 to 3 hours post-workout, releases endorphins that crushes stress, and even grows new brain cells for improved memory and learning. A healthy body makes a more effective entrepreneur. So here's how you can implement it as a habit. Schedule it. Treat your exercise like an important meeting with yourself that you cannot cancel. Even if it's just a quick walk around the block at lunch or 10 minutes of stretching between Zoom calls, put it on the calendar. I like to keep things simple. So I have a 5 p.m. workout routine and I'm also on a trampoline all day long. So when I'm feeling low energy or between tasks, I'll just jump out on the trampoline for a few minutes. I literally bounce on this trampoline 20,000+ times a day while I'm working. Crazy? Maybe, but it keeps my energy high, my blood flowing. The point is movement needs to become a non-negotiable. Some days you won't feel like it, you do it anyway. Those are the days you need it the most. Even a slow, boring workout counts. Consistency is what counts. Over time, you'll notice you're more alert, you're less stressed, and more motivated naturally because your body and your mind are firing on all cylinders. So get moving daily. Your business will thank you for it. Also, if you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description below to go grab it. I'll see you there. Number 6, curate your input. Feed your mind, not your doubts. Entrepreneurship is hard enough. Don't make it harder by flooding your brain with garbage or negativity. Curate what you allow into your mind each day. This is a habit most people ignore. They passively scroll whatever the algorithm throws at them, watch news that freaks them out, and hang around negative people. And then they wonder why they feel discouraged or distracted, right? As an entrepreneur, you need to protect your mindset fiercely. That means deliberately choosing inspirational, educational, or uplifting inputs and cutting out the rest. I talked earlier about how I watch an inspiring video every morning to kickstart my belief on my belief walk outside. That's one way I curate my input. I'm basically brainwashing myself for success on purpose. I highly recommend you create a daily inspiration playlist for yourself. It could be videos, podcasts, audiobooks, this YouTube channel, whatever lights a fire inside you. Listen or watch even 10 minutes a day It's a mental vitamin. And at the same time, unfollow or mute sources that constantly make you feel like crap. Doom scrolling through Instagram can leave you feeling worse about yourself. So I went through and unfollowed accounts that weren't lifting me up. Now my feed is 90% people and ideas that inspire me. And that didn't happen by accident. It was a habitual practice of curating my environment. Consider your physical environment too. Surround yourself with books or quotes or objects that remind you of your goals and your values. Some entrepreneurs put their vision board or goals list where they can see it every day. Others, like me, have little weird reminders. So I might have a belief sign or memorabilia all over my office, or the damn the Doritos bag behind me. They're not a sponsor. The idea is to create an environment that naturally triggers motivation and focus. Research shows that much of our behavior runs on autopilot, triggered by environmental cues. Roughly 2/3 of what people do each day is habit, not conscious choice. So design your environmental cues. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow so you read at night. If you want to stop wasting evenings on TV, maybe unplug the TV and put it in the closet on weekends. Make the good behaviors easier and the bad behaviors harder. So for me, curating the inputs also means I seek out mentors and expanders. I consume biographies of entrepreneurs that I admire to soak in their mindset. It's a habit, a little dose of greatness each day, feeding my mind. And over time, what happens is those inputs, they compound. You find yourself naturally more optimistic, more resourceful, and yes, more consistently motivated because you've conditioned your mind to focus on possibilities and solutions. Curating your input is about feeding your mind the good and starving it of the bad. It's a boring habit in that it's just consistently choosing the better media, the better conversations, the better thoughts, the better people. But wow, does it pay off in your attitude and your actions? Number 7, do one hard thing daily. Build your discipline. So make it a habit to intentionally do one uncomfortable thing each day, something that challenges you or that you'd rather avoid. Why? Because doing hard things consistently is the weightlifting for your discipline and your self-confidence. If you only ever do what's comfortable, the minute you face a real challenge in business, you will quit. But if you've built the habit of flexing your grit muscle daily, you become almost anti-fragile, right? Difficulties become easier to handle and you won't get derailed so quickly. This hard thing could be directly in your business, like that tough phone call, asking a question you're afraid to ask, working an extra hour on your craft when others would call it a day, or it could be something in your personal routine too that just sucks a bit. The cold shower in the morning, doing the early morning workout, resisting that dessert after dinner. The specific action matters less than the message that you're telling yourself. I do what is hard when I don't feel like it. I am stronger than my feelings or my temptations. One of my weird personal habits for this is the damn the Dorito strategy. I've kind of quickly alluded to it behind me here. So if you see my videos when I noticed that giant unopened bag of Doritos sitting behind me, yes, it's real and it's probably years old by now and definitely stale, but it still probably tastes great. And I keep it there as a deliberate test of my willpower. So conventional wisdom says if you're avoiding junk food, remove the temptation. But I do the opposite. I leave the temptation right there and practice not giving in. I'm stronger than this Doritos, I tell myself. My mouth is watering even just thinking right now. If I can resist that craving every day, what else can I conquer? It's a daily reminder that I'm in control, not my impulses. And the high that you get from knowing that you did the difficult thing is incredible. It builds self-love and belief in a way that nothing else can. My friends have even started their own Dan the Doritos challenges. One keeps a bowl of candy on his desk without touching it. Another keeps sugar packs by his coffee maker and never uses them. It's a strange little habit, but it's powerful. Now, you don't need a Doritos bag, but find your edge and stand on it daily. Maybe you're shy, so your hard thing is initiating a conversation with a stranger each day. Maybe you hate numbers, so your hard thing is reviewing one financial metric of your business each day just to get over the fear. By doing what's hard, you prove to yourself that you can. And that discipline spills over everywhere in your life. When the inevitable big challenges in entrepreneurship come for you, your deal falls through, a product fails, a pandemic hits, you won't collapse. You'll think, I've done tough things every day. I can handle this too. And that resilience comes from the daily reps of discomfort. It's not sexy. It's definitely not fun in the moment. It's boring and often painful, but it forges you into a stronger person every single day. So ask yourself each morning, what's my hard thing today? And then do it. And over time, you'll start to crave the challenge because you'll love who you become by conquering it. Number 8, ask for help and accountability. Don't go it alone. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely road if you let it, but going it alone is a habit you don't want to start to form. In fact, make the opposite a habit. Regularly seek help, feedback, accountability from other people. Pride or fear keeps a lot of founders struggling in silence. And I know because I did this too in my journey. Early on, I was making no money. Everything was falling apart. And I was too embarrassed to tell anyone. I didn't want my friends or family to know how badly I was struggling. So I suffered alone, which only made everything harder. And I nearly broke down during that phase. In hindsight, I realized that if I had simply asked for help or even just shared what I was going through, I could have saved myself a ton of stress and maybe gotten solutions sooner. The lesson for me and for you: don't build your dream in isolation. Make it a habit to reach out. This could mean having a weekly check-in with a fellow entrepreneur to swap challenges and try to hold each other accountable. It could mean asking a mentor or advisor for feedback on your plan. It could even mean openly sharing your goals with your team or your spouse or online so that you feel accountable to follow through on what you said you're going to do. When you voice your struggles or your plans, you create external pressure, the good kind, to take action, and you gain perspectives you wouldn't have on your own. And studies have shown that having an accountability partner can dramatically increase your odds of hitting a goal. One famous stat from the American Society of Training and Development suggests you have a 65% chance of success with a specific accountability appointment and up to 95% if you have ongoing check-ins. The exact numbers aside, the point is accountability works. If you're more introverted like me and the idea of regularly involving others makes you cringe a bit, you start small. Maybe send a Monday email to your mentor outlining your focus for the week and a Friday email updating them on the progress. Or even join an online community like we've got here in Believe Nation and put some comments below. You can share your wins and your losses. The habit isn't about huge networking. It's about not letting your pride or your fear keep you stuck. When I finally opened up about my struggles, I discovered something pretty amazing. People wanted to help. My audience, my friends, when I started saying, hey, I'm having a hard time with X, what would you do? Tons of advice and support started pouring in. And just knowing I wasn't alone made me push through instead of quit. So I try to remind others too, don't do it alone because you'll probably fail. You'll quit along the way because it's so devastatingly lonely. And that's from my own experience. So break the habit of lone wolfing it and build the habit of asking for help. Being accountable to someone, even in small ways, keeps you consistent when your motivation falls because you know someone cares if you show up or not. And sometimes that makes all the difference. Number 9, single task with focus. Cut out multitasking. In a world of constant pings and dings and notifications, focus has become a superpower, so master it. The habit here is to give your full attention to one task at a time, every day for a solid block of time, and ruthlessly eliminating distractions during that block. It might feel boring compared to juggling 5 browser tabs, checking your phone, and doing email every 2 minutes, but multitasking is a lie. It doesn't make you more productive. It makes you scattered and less effective. Researchers have found that task switching can cost as much as 40% of your productive time. You could be losing nearly half your workday just in the mental gaps created by bouncing between tasks. So here's the new habit. Carve out at least one chunk of time, even 30 minutes to start, where you work on only one thing with 0 interruptions. It could be first thing in the morning, great for those important tasks. You're eating the frog that we talked about, or maybe late at night if you're a night owl, whatever time you can concentrate best. During this time, close your email, put your phone on, do not disturb, or in another room, and shut down any apps or any tabs that are unrelated to the task at hand. If you're writing, just write. If you're coding, just code. If you're brainstorming strategy, just do that. You might feel twitchy at first, itching to check notifications. That's normal, but stick with it. You're training your brain to focus again, like a muscle that's been allowed to completely atrophy. I schedule deep work sessions for myself where my team knows that I am unavailable. Sometimes I'll even put on noise-canceling headphones or earbuds with no music. The silence sends a signal that I'm in the zone. And guess what? An hour of truly focused work often produces more real progress than an entire day of fragmented effort. When I batch film YouTube videos like I'm doing right now, I devote the whole day, Tuesday, just to filming. I'm not focused on emails or meetings, just turn on the camera and go. And by the time I'm making multiple videos, I hit a flow and get far more done than if I tried to squeeze in filming in between other tasks. Now, you might try a version of this. Maybe dedicate mornings to creative work and afternoons to calls so you're not constantly context switching. The main point is to focus on one thing at a time. It's a habit to build, just like you're going to the gym. And at first, 15 minutes of concentration might feel hard, but over time, you'll stretch that to an hour and then 2, and you'll start to love it because you'll see the quality of your work and the speed of your progress skyrocket up. Plus, it's mentally freeing to not be a slave to every notification. You'll realize most urgent things can actually wait. By eliminating the noise for a while each day, you get the truly important work done. No motivation needed, just pure habit and structure carrying you through. Remember, multitasking is the enemy of excellence. Commit to your focus habit and watch your productivity soar. Number 10, prioritize sleep and recovery. Recharge yourself. Hustle culture might glamorize the all-nighters and the 4 a.m. wake-up grind, but let me tell you this, chronic sleep deprivation is a silent killer of success. One of the most boring habits you can adopt, yet one of the highest ROI is getting enough quality sleep and rest. It's not flashy, it feels lazy, but it's anything but. It's strategic. Your body and your brain are the engine of your business, right? If you don't maintain that engine, it'll break down. The science says without adequate sleep, your brain literally struggles to function. Neurons can't fire optimally, your cognitive performance tanks, and your mood and decision-making go downhill. You ever notice how problems seem 10 times more overwhelming when you're exhausted? Or how you make silly mistakes or snap at people when you're running on 4 hours of sleep? That's the sleep loss taking effect. On the other side, good sleep improves almost every aspect of your brain function, your memory, your problem solving, your creativity, your focus, you name it. One study even found that people who improved their sleep saw increases in cognitive performance and a reduction in age-related cognitive decline. So if you sleep well, you think better and you perform better. It's that simple. So what does this mean as a habit? It means setting a consistent sleep schedule as much as possible. If it means you need 7 or 8 hours, most adults do, you prioritize that like you would any important meeting. You wouldn't skip a meeting with your biggest client to binge Netflix till 3 a.m., right? So treat bedtime with that same respect. Maybe it means shutting down screens an hour before bed or doing a wind down routine like reading or stretching so you actually fall asleep on time. This might feel dull. Going to bed at a decent hour is not a sexy life hack, but it will supercharge the hours when you are awake. Even Jeff Bezos, who runs one of the world's biggest companies, Amazon, says he insists on getting 8 hours of sleep because it gives him better energy and clearer thinking for high quality decisions. He's not stupid. He knows a tired brain running Amazon is bad for business. So I had to learn this myself. I'm honestly still working on it. There are periods I tried to get by in 4 to 5 hours, grinding early and late. I tell myself I was working harder than everyone else. But I hit diminishing returns pretty quickly. My creativity dried up, I became irritable, and ironically, I had to redo work because of mistakes. So now I try to guard my sleep. And I also take breaks and days off to recharge. Another thing hustlers often neglect, you are not a machine. Even machines need maintenance. So schedule that day off, that time off, unplug for an afternoon, take a walk outside, get out in nature more to reset your mind. These rest habits keep you consistent longer term. Burnout is the enemy of consistency. If you burn out, you'll be forced to stop. And there goes all that momentum that you have been building up. So the boring habit here is take care of your biological needs. Get sleep, stay hydrated, give yourself downtime. It's not laziness, it's how the actual elite performers sustain their success. Think of it this way. Every night you get quality sleep, you're earning back tomorrow's motivation and willpower in spades. So if you want to be a machine in your work hours, respect the human need to recharge. Long term, this habit separates the entrepreneurs who flame out after a sprint from those who actually endure for the marathon. And number 11, celebrate small wins daily. This is your fuel for your momentum. So let's talk about the habit that keeps your inner fire burning, celebrating your small wins. Entrepreneurs, we're ambitious people. We're always looking at the next goal, the next mountain to climb, and that drive is great. But the downside is we often beat ourselves up for not being where we want to be while completely ignoring the progress that we actually are making. So this can be demotivating and unsustainable. So to stay consistent without relying on big spikes of motivation, you need to cultivate a sense of progress and gratitude every day, even for the little wins and the little steps. And psychology proves this out. Harvard researchers Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer found that the number one driver of positive emotions and motivation during the workday was making progress in meaningful work, even if the progress was small. In their study of thousands of daily diary entries, they discovered that those little wins, fixing a small bug in code, closing a minor sale, getting a positive comment from a customer, kept people incredibly joyful and motivated. The best way to keep an employee engaged day after day wasn't massive bonuses or huge achievements. It was facilitating daily progress. The same applies when you're your own boss. If all you focus on is the gap between where you are and where you want to be, then you'll feel constantly behind and discouraged. But if you make it a habit to acknowledge what went right each day, you'll generate a steady flow of motivation from within. So, how do you celebrate small wins as a habit? One simple way is to keep a daily progress journal. At the end of each day, you can write down 2 to 3 things that you've accomplished or wins from that day. They can be tiny. You published your blog post, you made a video that you were procrastinating on, you got a kind email from a customer, you figured out how to fix a problem in your app. By writing it down, you're telling your brain, this mattered. Good job. Another method, I love doing this with my wife, is you share your wins. So you share your wins with your friend, the spouse, your team. For example, the win of the week or shout outs on Fridays. Every day I try to make a video for my team too inside of our Slack where I'm sharing a win, something that I want to recognize somebody on the team for doing because they did a great job. Because everybody, including me, we love shares. It just makes you feel better. And culturally, it reinforces progress. So if you're a solo entrepreneur, you could share your daily win or tell your accountability buddy. It might feel awkward at first, but it builds positive momentum. So during the years when my YouTube audience was really tiny, I survived by celebrating small wins. I remember getting 50 views on a video and I was so happy. It sounds crazy, right? I reframed it. 50 people watched my advice today. Imagine a room of 50 people listening to me speak. Wow. And that little mindset trick kept me pumped. It made me realize that no matter how small, I was making an impact. And that feeling motivated me to do the next video and the next one. If I had said, oh, only 50 people, this sucks, I would have quit and never reached the 5,000 or 50,000 or 5 million views later. By celebrating the little micro wins, I kept myself in the game. So you could do the same thing for yourself. Every day, take a moment, acknowledge something that you did well, you made some progress on, even on the tough days, especially on the tough days. Find one thing. Maybe it's, hey, I got out of bed and I sent 3 emails even though I was depressed. Awesome. Maybe it's sales are down, but I learned a lot from those customer complaints today, right? There's always something. This habit, it keeps your mindset positive and forward-looking. It gives you a hit of dopamine and pride that reinforces your other habits. So instead of waiting for the big win a year from now to finally feel good, you're creating little wins today. And success is really just the accumulation of lots of small wins. So celebrate them. This isn't about giving yourself a trophy for nothing. You're putting in work and you deserve to recognize it. So by doing this, you stay motivated internally. You'll end each day thinking, okay, I'm closer than I was yesterday. Let's go again tomorrow. And that, my friend, is a recipe for unstoppable momentum. So look at you. You made it here. Learning, getting better by watching this video. You're proving that you're not just interested in success, but you're actually committing yourself to it. These habits may be boring, but they are the unglamorous backbone of every great entrepreneur's journey. So keep at it. One day at a time, one habit at a time. You're building something extraordinary. Yourself. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. Now let's learn the 6 habits that made Steve Jobs an unstoppable entrepreneur. Habits make or break you as an entrepreneur. Too many brilliant people never reach their potential because they never build the habits to match their ambition. If you ignore this, you'll keep struggling and start to wonder if you were ever meant to be an entrepreneur at all. Steve Jobs was 30 when Apple, the company he co-founded, fired him. He said it was devastating. The focus of his entire life was gone and he felt like a public failure. He could have given up for good, but he didn't. Instead, he started a new company called Next and helped launch Pixar, turning that humiliating defeat into an epic comeback. A decade later, Apple begged him to return, and Steve led one of the greatest business turnarounds ever. Yet, in that dark moment, Jobs felt the same crushing doubt that you feel when everything falls apart. He felt betrayed, humiliated, like maybe he had never had it after all. But here's the difference. He didn't accept that feeling as the end of his story. I remember hitting my own breaking point as a young entrepreneur. I spent 9 months on my first business plan, making only $300 a month and eating cheap bean salad every day. Frustration started to pile up until I finally snapped. I called my business partner and I said, I quit. Then I hung up the phone and I cried harder than I ever had. I felt like a worthless failure. For the first time in my life, I saw myself as a quitter and it broke me. But the next morning I woke up with a new kind of pain, regret. I realized that the pain of giving up would be worse than the pain of pushing forward. So I swallowed my pride and I told my partner I wanted back in. I knew I had to change something, so I studied how Bill Gates built Microsoft and borrowed one of his strategies. And a few weeks later, we closed a $13,500 deal, which was the first real victory of my business life. With that momentum, we grew the company and eventually sold it. But none of that would have happened if I had stayed down and never gotten back up. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great, but I'm not Steve Jobs, I'm not a genius or celebrity CEO. Or maybe you're thinking, Evan, hey, good for you, but you had a partner and the lucky break. I'm still struggling here. I hear you. And here's what you need to know. Steve Jobs wasn't a born legend. He started out as a college dropout with no money, sleeping on friends' floors and scrounging for meals. And I was a kid with no experience just trying to figure it out. Steve wasn't born unstoppable, and neither was I. It was built step by step through habits, the same ones that you can start building today. If we could do it, so can you. So let's get into the 6 habits that made Steve Jobs an unstoppable entrepreneur and how you can make them yours. Habit number 1, do what you love. Steve Jobs was obsessed with doing work he loved. He once said the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Why? Because passion fuels perseverance. When life hit him with failure, getting fired, products flopping, his love for the mission kept him going. Jobs admitted, the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. If you don't truly love your work, you'll quit when it gets hard. It's that simple. Passion isn't just a feeling, it's a practical tool. When you care about the outcome, you'll work longer, you'll fight harder, you'll refuse to quit because it matters more to you. And passion is contagious. Steve's excitement ignited his team at Apple with a deep passion for creating groundbreaking products. So ask yourself, are you doing work that makes you come alive? And if not, find a way to get closer to it, even if it means taking on a job on the side until you figure out what you truly love. Because when you love what you do, nothing can stop you from doing it. Habit number 2, have a bold vision. Unstoppable entrepreneurs have a vision so big it keeps them moving forward. Steve Jobs wasn't just making computers, he wanted to change the world. He believed in dreaming big, or as he put it, put a dent in the universe. When he recruited Pepsi executive John Scully, Jobs challenged him with a single question. Do you want to spend your life selling sugar water, or do you want a chance to change the world? That vision became magnetic. It attracted employees, attracted partners, and rallied customers. A bold vision gives your work more meaning. It turns your business into a mission. So when you have a massive why, the how can bend to your will. Setbacks become lessons. Roadblocks become hurdles that you figure out how to jump over. And as the saying goes, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. Your vision should be so clear and powerful that it pulls you through the tough days. Now, maybe you want to empower 1 million people with your product. Maybe you aim to redefine an industry. Whatever it is, make it specific and make it matter to you. Steve Jobs had the audacity to say he would change the world, and then he did. What is your dent in the universe? Get clear on it, and you'll find a more powerful drive to make it happen. Habit number 3, stay curious and keep learning. Steve Jobs made a habit of exploring beyond his comfort zone. After he dropped out of college, he dropped in on classes that intrigued him, like calligraphy, for no other reason than it fascinated him. Now, at the time, it had no practical use in his career, none. But 10 years later, those calligraphy lessons helped Apple build the Macintosh with beautiful fonts and typography that no other computer had. Jobs later said that creativity is just connecting things. And you can only connect more things if you learn more things. By traveling, studying art and design, experimenting with new ideas, he kept his mind sharp and his creativity charged. So unstoppable entrepreneurs never think they know it all. They're students of life. They read, they ask questions, they tinker with new skills, always gathering new dots to connect down the road. And science backs us up. Research shows that people with a broad range of experiences and knowledge are more innovative because they can see patterns and solutions that others miss. So, take that course that interests you, even if it's outside your field. Meet people with completely different backgrounds. Try hobbies that make you a beginner again. Every time you stretch yourself to learn something new, you're investing in future innovation for yourself. Steve Jobs' curiosity led to ideas that changed technology and entertainment. Yours can do the same for whatever you're working on if you stay curious and keep learning. Habit number 4, focus on what matters. Say no to 1,000 things. Being unstoppable isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things and ignoring the rest. Steve Jobs was ruthless about focus. When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company was spread too thin with around 350 products in development. Jobs cut it down to 10 core products so his best teams could pour their energy into each one. He was as proud of what Apple didn't do as what it did. In fact, he once gave Google's Larry Page this advice: decide on the 5 products that matter most and get rid of the rest. They're dragging you down. Focus requires saying no a lot. As an entrepreneur, every day brings new ideas, opportunities, and distractions. If you try to chase them all, you'll catch none. Stanford researchers found that people who multitask heavily and split their attention end up less effective at everything. When you spread yourself thin, you make shallow progress. When you concentrate on a few priorities, you make deep progress. So figure out what moves the needle for your business or your goal and commit to that. Cut everything else. Cancel the project that's going nowhere. Say no to the clients who aren't the right fit. Protect your time and focus like your life depends on it, because your dream does. Steve Jobs focused Apple's efforts on a handful of products that revolutionized the company. What could you revolutionize if you stopped dividing your attention? Habit number 5, embrace failure and persist. Every entrepreneur gets knocked down. The great ones keep getting back up. Steve Jobs understood that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. When Apple kicked him out, it was the worst moment of his life, and it set the stage for his greatest achievement ever. He later admitted, "Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to me because it freed him to think creatively again. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it," he said about that failure. In other words, sometimes life kicks you hard to move you forward. Steve didn't lose faith when life hit him with a brick. He kept going. The only way you lose for good is if you give up. Jobs put it bluntly, if you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid of not learning from it. According to Harvard research, successful entrepreneurs see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow. Each setback teaches you what not to do the next time. Each mistake brings you one step closer to the solution if you're willing to adapt and try again. So think of failure like a test. It shows you what doesn't work so you can focus on what might. When things go wrong, and they will, take a breath, extract the lesson, and get back in the game. Persistence is a habit. Every time you choose not to quit, you strengthen that persistence muscle. Steve Jobs persevered through failure and it made him stronger. It can do the same for you. And habit number 6, ask for help and build a great team. The myth of the lone genius is just that. It's a myth. Even Steve Jobs didn't build Apple by himself, and you don't have to go it alone either. One of Jobs' most powerful habits was his willingness to ask for help and surround himself with brilliant people. At 12 years old, he boldly called out Bill Hewlett, who was the co-founder of Hewlett-Packard, just to ask for some spare parts for an electronics project he was working on. Hewlett was so impressed by the kid's initiative that he gave Steve the parts and a summer job. As Jobs later recalled, most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates the people who do things from the people who just dream about them. The habit of asking continued throughout his career. When Apple was developing the iPhone, Steve realized the screen was scratching way too easily. He didn't have the solution, so he reached out and asked. He called Wendell Weeks, the CEO of Corning Glass, and described the problem, asking for the toughest glass they had. Corning had something called Gorilla Glass sitting on the shelf, a technology from the 1960s that had never been used in consumer products. Because Steve asked, Corning brought it to life, and that ultra-strong glass became the iPhone screen. So the lesson here is don't let pride or fear stop you from getting help. Steve also knew that a great team beats a great individual. He hired people who were insanely talented and let them shine. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do, he said. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Your job is not to have all the answers. It's to recognize and recruit others who have pieces of the puzzle that you need. So find mentors who've walked your path and ask them questions. Partner with people who complement your strengths. Hire team members who are better than you at specific tasks. If you try to do it all alone, you will hit a ceiling. Maybe you're there right now. But if you build a network of support, you will explode through your limits. Being unstoppable doesn't mean never needing anyone. It means having the confidence to admit when you do need help and the wisdom to seek it out. Keep moving forward. Okay, you've just learned the habits that made Steve Jobs unstoppable. Now ask yourself, what will you do with them? It won't be easy. You'll face resistance, doubt, and days when nothing seems to work. But you're still here, learning and working on your dream, and that already sets you apart. Now let's learn the 7 traits that every successful person has. All successful people have the exact same 7 traits. Most people will ignore this and stay average. If you ignore it, chances are 5 years from now, you'll still feel stuck, or worse, you'll be looking back with regret, wondering what went wrong. I don't want that for you, and I know you don't either. Look at Walt Disney, the man who created Mickey Mouse. He was fired from his first newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. Then his first animation company went bankrupt. He was told over and over that his ideas were too risky, too expensive, or just plain silly. At one point, he couldn't even afford food and survived by eating beans from a can, but he refused to quit. He kept creating. He kept believing. When he pitched Disneyland, more than 300 investors turned him down, yet he kept going until one finally said yes. Today, Disney is one of the biggest brands on earth. He succeeded because he never gave up. So ask yourself, if a man who got fired for no imagination could build a world of imagination, what could you build if you refused to stop? I almost gave up on my dream too. At 19, I quit on my first business. I had left a high-paying job opportunity to own a part of a startup and ended up making $300 a month. Nothing was working. I was grinding every day and feeling like a total failure. I was so embarrassed by how broke I was that I stopped hanging out with my friends and I couldn't even afford pizza. One night I hit rock bottom and told my business partner, I'm done, I quit. And then a new kind of pain hit me. I pictured myself years later haunted by the fact that I gave up on my dream. That vision of regret was worse than the failure. And I couldn't accept that. So the very next day, I crawled back into the office, which was my business partner's condo. I had no idea how I was going to fix things, but I made a decision. I would find someone who did know and learn from them. And I picked the best model I could think of, Bill Gates. Since I had a software company, he had the largest software company in the world, and studied how he built Microsoft and made his first million. And guess what? Within a few weeks, we closed our first major deal for $13,500. I went from making $300 a month to bringing in a $13,500 check in a single deal. That blew my mind, and it changed who I was. I realized I could have stayed a quitter and missed out on everything, but instead I proved to myself that if you push one more day, if you're resourceful and you model success, you can turn things around. I learned a lot about the value of resilience and belief and finding mentors in your darkest moment. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great story, Evan, but I'm not Walt Disney. I don't have a ton of imagination. I'm just a normal person with normal problems. Listen to me. Every successful person you admire started as a normal person with normal problems. None of them began with special powers. The difference is, when things got hard, they didn't settle for normal. They made different choices that built those 7 traits into them. You can make those choices too. This isn't about born talent or luck or money. It's about what you decide to believe and how you act when the pressure is on. And the fact that you're watching this tells me something, that there's a fire in you. Maybe it's small right now, but it's in there. And my job in this video is to pour gasoline on that fire. So here's the good news. These 7 traits can be learned. They can be practiced. They can become your traits at an identity level. Starting today, you can decide to develop each one and completely change the trajectory of your life. So let's break them down one by one and get specific on how you can build them. Trait number 1, self-belief. All successful people believe in themselves unapologetically. They believe in their vision even when it's just a crazy idea and everyone else doubts them. There's a famous saying, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. And it's true. If you don't believe in your ability, you won't even try, or you'll quit as soon as it gets tough. On the other hand, when you do believe in yourself, you'll move mountains to prove yourself right. In psychology, this is called a growth mindset, the belief that you can improve and adapt. Stanford research has shown that the view you adopt of yourself literally shapes your life. If you believe you're capable of growth, you will grow. Successful people act like they're capable of amazing things long before it's evident, and that belief becomes a a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think of Oprah Winfrey. Early in her career, she was fired and told she wasn't fit for television. She could have said, maybe they're right, and she faded away, but she didn't. She held on to her belief that she was meant for more, and now she's Oprah, one of the most influential media figures of all time. She believed in herself when no one else did. Do you? Ask yourself honestly, do you believe you can do great things? If your immediate answer is no, then let's change that right now. You might say, but I've never done anything great before. So what? Every success story starts with someone believing before they have evidence. I learned this from my mom. She used to tell me, if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. If you can, then you must. Whenever I failed or felt down, she'd look me in the eyes and say, you're Evan Castrilli Carmichael. You can do anything you believe you can. And I didn't buy it at first. I was a B and C student while my sisters got straight A's. But after hearing it enough times, I finally thought, what if she's right? And that little seed of belief, what if it's true, changed my life. I started behaving like I could achieve something. And eventually, I did. Trait number 2, passion. Successful people love what they do. They are obsessed with it. They would do it for free just for the joy because it's part of who they are. I spent over 20 years studying entrepreneurs, artists, innovators, leaders, and one of the most consistent pieces of advice is follow your passion. You have to find the thing that makes you feel alive, the thing that you would do even if you never got paid. Why? Because doing anything great is hard. It takes years of hard work. If you don't love the process, you'll quit. If it's just a paycheck or a casual interest, you'll give up when it stops being fun. But if you're truly passionate, you'll keep going even when it sucks, even when everyone calls you crazy, even when it doesn't make logical sense anymore. You keep going because you need to. It's who you are. You don't get to be the best by doing what you hate or what you think you should do. You become the best by loving what you do more than anyone else loves what they do. Think about the greats. Kobe Bryant, shooting baskets at 4 a.m. because he loved the game, not just because someone forced him. Or Steve Jobs, who famously said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. He was right. If you haven't found something you can pour your heart into, you need to keep looking. Don't settle for a life of lukewarm interest. It's a recipe for mediocrity. So what do you love so much that you do it no matter what? What would you regret not doing? It might be a career, a project, an art, a cause, anything. Identify it and give yourself permission to pursue it. Yes, you might have responsibilities and bills, and I'm not saying be reckless, but you owe it to yourself to incorporate your passion into your life and ultimately into your work. Because when you operate from passion, work doesn't feel like work. It feels like honor, like service, like play. And that's where the magic happens. You'll put in more effort. You'll put in more hours. You'll be a lot more creative and happy because it feeds you. That's how winners pull ahead of the pack. They're not straining themselves to compete. They're playing their own game that they love. So they naturally practice more. They learn more. They persist more. If you haven't found that thing yet, keep exploring. Follow your curiosity. Think about what pain you've overcome in your life. Often your purpose lies in helping others with the struggle that you went through. I always say your purpose comes from your pain. In my case, I struggled so much as an entrepreneur that I became passionate about making entrepreneurship easier for other people. Find your why. Trait number 3, action. Successful people do something. They have a bias for action. They execute fast even before they feel ready. This is where so many people fail. They get paralyzed trying to plan the perfect approach or waiting for the right time, and they never actually start. Newsflash, there is no perfect plan and there is no perfect time. At some point, you have to pull the trigger and go. And I learned this the hard way. In my first business, I was a perfectionist. I'm still a recovering perfectionist. I spent an entire summer drafting the ultimate business plan. Dozens of pages of research, projections, it looked beautiful. And while I was planning, a competitor in my industry was acting. They got out there, they got customers, they got attention. A large competitor came along looking to acquire a business like ours, and guess who was already ready and who wasn't? Not us. Our competitor got bought for $40 million and we got nothing. I missed out on a $40 million deal because I was stuck in planning mode. And that one hurt, but it taught me a pretty valuable lesson. A half-assed plan you start now is better than a perfect plan that you never execute. Most of your precious plan is going to be wrong anyway once it meets reality. You can't think your way to success. You have to do your way to success. So ask yourself, what's one important thing that you've been putting off because you don't feel ready? And decide to take one small step today. Make that call, publish the post, start the channel, make the video, reach out to that person, whatever it is, just start. You won't have all the answers, and that's okay. You figure it out by doing. Start before you feel ready. Trust that you'll learn along the way. This simple trait, being an action taker, already puts you miles ahead of most people. Remember, you can't steer a parked car. So get moving and you'll find your direction. Trait number 4, embrace failure. Every successful person has a healthy relationship with failure. In fact, they fail more than the average person. The difference is they're not afraid of it. Most people are so terrified of failure that they don't even try, and that's the biggest failure of all. Successful people understand that failure isn't the end of the road. It's just a data point on the path to success. It's feedback, it's education, it's a necessary stepping stone. They don't take failure personally. They don't make it mean I'm a failure. They just say, okay, that didn't work. Good to know. What can I learn from this? Let's try again. They failed their way to success. In fact, they failed at more things than most people have ever attempted. Think about that. The average person might try a dozen things in their life and give up when something doesn't immediately work out. Successful people might try 100 things, fail at 90 of them, but the 10 that hit more than make up for it. Failure is the price of admission for success. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, I put him as number 1. He put it this way: I missed over 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I was trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over in my life, and that is why I succeed. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Thomas Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful light bulb prototypes. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail 1,000 times, he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. And that's the mindset you need to adopt. Trait number 5, perseverance. Never giving up. If one trait separates the winners from the losers, it's the sheer grit to keep going no matter what. Life will test you. Business will test you. Do you get back up one more time or do you stay down? Successful people always get back up long after other people have thrown in the towel. Remember Walt Disney with his 300 plus rejections? That's perseverance. Or look at J.K. Rowling. She was rejected by 12 publishers. 12 publishers said Harry Potter wasn't worth publishing. She could have stopped at rejection number 12 and we'd never have known Hogwarts, right? But she persisted until a small publisher took a chance on her. Now she's one of the best-selling authors in history. Stories like that aren't the exception, they're the rule. Virtually every success is built on a mountain of persistence. They say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, and it's true. The problem is most people never make it to year 10 at whatever they're doing. They quit at year 2 or 3 because they're not seeing results yet. Don't let that be you. Perseverance is a choice. It's a quiet, daily choice that I will not quit. Decide that for yourself. Decide that no matter how long it takes, you're going to see your vision through. There are no expiry dates on your dream. I don't care if it takes you until you're 30 or 40 or 65. Time is going to pass anyway, so you might as well keep pushing towards something that you care about. Keep going. Trait number 6, positive environment. All successful people raise their standards for their environment. They purposefully shape who and what they surround themselves with. So you've probably heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. It's true. Environment is everything. If you hang around 5 pessimistic, lazy, excuse-making people, you will become the 6. If you hang around 5 ambitious, optimistic, high-performing people, you'll also become the 6. We as human beings are contagious to each other. So winners curate their environment ruthlessly. So this means 2 things: cutting out the negative influences and adding in positive influences. First, the negative. You must distance yourself from chronic negativity, naysayers, people who hold you back. Sometimes that's friends, even family. Sometimes it's the content that you consume. Pay attention to how the people around you make you feel. Do they make you feel energized, inspired, capable, or do they make you feel drained, discouraged, and small? If it's the latter, you need to start spending less time with them. This can be hard, but it's necessary. Successful people from tough backgrounds often had to be the ones who said, enough, I love you, but I can't have you around my dreams if you're going to tear them down. They raised their standards and refused to tolerate constant negativity around them. They stopped blaming their circumstances and they started demanding more of themselves. That's how you break free from a limiting environment. You declare to yourself, I will not accept this anymore, and you change it. Now, cutting negativity alone isn't enough. You have to add in positivity too. If you don't have supportive, inspiring people in your life immediately around you, seek them out. Find a community of people who are also pushing for more and believe in more. That might mean joining groups or clubs or online forums. Even here in the comment section here in Believe Nation on this video, put it down below. Fill your ears with the words of great mentors from videos and books and podcasts. I still do this constantly as a shy introvert starting my business. I didn't have any entrepreneurial friends to turn to. So I turned to my heroes. I called them aspirational mentors through their biographies and their talks. Their mindset became my mindset. You can do the same. There's no excuse to not have positive influences. You have YouTube, you have audiobooks, you have virtual mentors at your fingertips 24/7. Make use of it. Every day consume something that elevates you, ideally earlier in the morning. It's like healthy food for your brain. Trait number 7, a strong purpose. The final trait that all successful people share is that they're driven by a deep sense of purpose. They know why they do what they do, and that why is everything. It gives meaning to their work and fuel to their fire. Purpose is what turns a job into a mission. It's the difference between someone who is just making a living and someone who's making a difference. Now, if you study the greats, you'll see this over and over again. They weren't just chasing money. They're usually chasing a mission to change something in the world or to reach a personal vision. When you have a purpose, setbacks don't defeat you as easily because you know what you're fighting for. Like Viktor Frankl said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Successful people have a powerful why. I like to say your purpose comes from your pain. Whatever you struggled with in life is what you want to help other people through. Now, here's another thing. Having a purpose also attracts other people to you. People want to be a part of something meaningful. Your team, your customers, your audience, they will rally around you if you have a genuine mission. It's inspiring. It's also a compass for your decisions. When you're lost or you're facing a tough call, you can ask, does this align with my mission or not? That clarity becomes gold. The world needs what you have. Successful people internalize this. They carry a sense of duty about their purpose. It's not just about personal gains. It's about using your gifts to make an impact. When you approach your life like that as a mission, you become someone a lot more powerful. You won't give up easily because it's not just your own comfort that's on the line. It's your calling. And that is identity level motivation. That's what creates your legacy. So those are the 7 traits. And I'll list them out one more time. And as I do it, I want you to imagine who you could become if you committed to all 7. So self-belief. Trusting that you can figure things out and win, even when no one else believes in you. Passion, doing work that lights you up so you have endless fuel to devote to it. Action, moving quickly and decisively rather than overthinking and hesitating. Embracing failure, learning from every misstep rather than never trying because you're afraid. Perseverance, getting back up every time, outlasting everyone who gave up. Environment, surrounding yourself with inspiration and cutting out the negativity. And purpose, knowing exactly why you're doing all of this and letting that why drive you forward. Notice something important here. None of these traits are genetic. None are privileges given only to the lucky. They are all choices. They are habits of mind and behavior that anyone can cultivate, including you, especially you. Success is not this mystical thing that is handed out to a select few. It's the result of building these traits day by day until they become who you are. Don't be intimidated by the entire list. You don't have to master all 7 overnight. Just start with 1. Which one of these do you need the most right now? Pick that one trait and focus on it this week. Write a sticky note reminder. Do one small action each day and practice it. Keep it simple. If you chose action, for example, then every day this week, identify one important step and do it before your head hits the pillow. If you chose self-belief, start each morning with a video, an affirmation, a visualization of you accomplishing your goal. Bit by bit, you'll feel that trait growing stronger inside you. And here's the secret. These traits reinforce each other. When you act, you gain confidence. Your self-belief grows. When you persist through failure, you discover new passion and purpose. When you surround yourself with positive people around you, you'll find it easier to keep going and your belief gets stronger. It's all interconnected. You're basically upgrading your identity piece by piece and momentum will build. Now it's your turn. No more waiting, no more excuses. You have the blueprint. You have the same 24 hours in a day as everyone else. You have gifts inside you that the world needs. Yes, needs. It's time to unleash them. So the moment this video ends, I want you to take one concrete step toward your dream using one of these traits, even if it's tiny, especially if it's tiny. Just do it now and then do it again tomorrow and then again the next day and let those little steps compound. Remember, the only thing that can stop you is you, and you're done standing in your own way. Aren't you? If you want to build so much confidence you stop doubting yourself, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe. I'll see you there. Stop waiting for the day you finally feel ready to chase your goals, because that day only comes after you take the first step. True confidence comes in the moments when you are terrified but choose to move forward anyway.